Hey, Yvie Jones, girl.
Hey, girl. Where are you recording from today?
I'm recording from Wangerriburras land, so I'm on Mount Tambourine for this week, and then I'll be on different lands, but watch this space. We'll get back to that one.
I'm in Gadigal country still, so thank you for having me.
Aren't you the luckiest person in the world?
I am. Today's Thursday.
It is. Thank you for that. I was a little bit unsure as to what day it was.
Thursday,
I'm
August
really
the 11th.
glad that you are here to tell me these types of things, because without you, I don't know where I would be. Oh, I know where I would be. I would be manically scrolling through my TikToks, because my favorite thing to do at the moment is watch how much people seem to be having this, in a way, look, it's good and bad. There's this newest obsession where social media is kind of glorifying mania, right? And I've noticed this for a while. I notice a lot of influencers do it. I'm not going to name names because that's a risky little game. I've noticed a lot of my friends are self-diagnosing from watching TikToks. They're like, I'm 100% sure I've got borderline personality disorder because I did this test on TikTok and I tick all the boxes of what this person who has borderline personality disorder has, or who has bipolar disorder or split personality. And I was having a conversation with my friend about it actually just before, and she sent me that she got 8 out of 10 for personality disorder. And I was like, where did you do this test? And she was like, I saw it on TikTok. And I'm like, no, if you're actually concerned that you have that, please don't do that on TikTok. Like, speak to a professional who has dedicated their life to knowing these types of traits. And it comes down to the individual. And I found a lot of hot girls are really glorifying mania. I don't know if this is controversial for me to say. It's really trendy right now to be like, well, I've got ADHD, so deal with that. That's going to happen with me. And I'm sure there are things that happen when you have ADHD. I know I do things because of my severe anxiety, but I would never go, well, I'm going to be a bit of a today because I've got severe anxiety. So you're just going to have to deal with that because it's cute. It's cute when I'm anxious. It's not cute to me. Like, it's great we're talking about it, but I feel like we really need to do the work and not glorify it, because we're just going to have all these people walking around saying they have these things that they might not have.
Yeah.
And that's quite dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's contagious as well, which is it's a teenage thing. I think it's not just a girl thing, but the girls are posting more about it. And that also goes with that whole emotional, we can show our emotions. Boys are not allowed to, so they might be feeling it and thinking it, but they're not going to mostly TikTok about it like, girls will. And the ones that are doing it and getting so many views, are they making monetary? Like, when you've got a lot of views, you start to make money. So, yeah, that is a pretty off thing. So there's a great article in Elle magazine and online by a woman called Zainab Mohammed, and she has written about the trend that it is. Just a few of the takeaways from that particular article. She says on TikTok, the hashtag BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, has 3.7 billion views. The hashtag bipolar has 2 billion, and hashtag DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, has 1.5 billion. There's a whole new class of social influencers that have been forming. Self-appointed mental health influencers have been stealthily corralling their tribes on various apps. In particular, there are some troubling videos which are encouraging self-diagnosis. Now, that's where we've got the problem. And that's it, isn't it? Because, you and I both have mental health problems, and it's so incredibly hard to get diagnosed properly. Sometimes your diagnosis changes, and then treatment for it is even harder. And getting back to what I was saying before, the contagiousness, teenagers, I was such a contagious teenager. I saw things and I self-diagnosed myself as having them. My manager's daughter these things that they watch on TV, like they watch Euphoria together, or they watch, they watch a lot of stuff together. And all of a sudden she said the next day her daughter will be hitting herself in the head and saying, I have Tourette's. She just laughs and just goes, yeah, whatever. She's very good about it. It is such a trend that I think we're just seeing it. It's always been there.
It has, but I think because social media is so huge now, and that we're creating actual videos of us in a manic episode or after a manic episode where, for example, I've seen girls be like, when I have an episode of some sort and I'm in the hospital and I don't remember the police and the ambulance coming to the door, and we're making these like kind of cute videos about it. And in a way I kind of get why. And then we have shows like Euphoria where the women are also beautiful and they're crazy, but the boys still love them and want to them. So girls are like, well, I'm going to show this side of me now because, everybody still loves old love from Zendaya on Euphoria, or everybody loves Cassie when she's having a manic episode. It's always been around, but I think now that we're making cute TikTok videos about it and everything's always so labeled, like you'll see a lot of things where it'll be like, that's my ADHD kicking in hard now. And I love that we've created a space for that, but sometimes I feel as though, are we then just going to use this as an excuse all the time as well?
Yeah.
Are we just going to be like, well, I can do that because of A, B, C, D? And I know that it can be like, it's such a relief to feel seen and to have a space where, for so long I would hide my panic attacks. I would not talk about them because I felt like an insane person. And we know now that's not the case. You've just got a chemical imbalance, or, you suffer from trauma-related things. I just feel like creating this space is good, but there's such a difference between creating a safe space, talking about it, and glorifying it. And I feel like I'm seeing so much. I don't know if it's just because they feel safe enough to do it now, but just
it's a vanity thing. It's a complete vanity thing. Once upon a time, anyone with these kind of disorders, you would have someone, if it was being documented, it would be a documentarian documenting you, and it would be really controlled environment. It would be in controlled edit. This is now, we have a completely new world where we have our own devices, we have our own cameras, and we are making our own documentaries. So there is no control and there's no regulation about what we can put out there. TikTok is certainly not regulating. Like, they will pull certain things down, but there's a lot more that needs to be pulled down. And like I said, it's so contagious that it always has been, but we've never seen it like this. 3.7 billion views for BPD. Like, that's it is, of course, a good thing that we're talking about it, but stop using it as entertainment, number one. And number two, stop self-diagnosing.
Yeah, when you're misdiagnosing yourself or going around being like, well, I have that and I'm pretty sure I've got bipolar disorder. It's like, well, you're telling somebody that. They're going to fixate on that. Every single little symptom that they have, they're going to be like, that's it. That's all I've got. But you've not seen a professional. And another big thing is, at the beginning of the year when I got diagnosed with all my reproductive health issues, I became so obsessed. I was so consumed by it that it actually enhanced the pain, and it made me do things that any little thing I would do, I'd be like, nah, flare up. I can't do anything.
Yep.
That's going to cause a flare up, which is going to cause a manic episode, which is going to cause an anxiety attack, which is going to cause a hospital stint. I was so obsessed by it that it was happening so often because that's all, I've got this now. When I speak to my healer, she was like, as soon as you say you have something, you're letting the illness or whatever it is completely consume you. Say you're experiencing interstitial cystitis, you're experiencing anxiety. That way it doesn't have ownership over you, because then you get consumed by being like, well, I have anxiety, interstitial cystitis, endometriosis. You become a victim and you get the attention that you crave from not maybe having the right diagnosis your whole life and feeling like you've been, handed around to people. So you do, in a way, form this little cult of people that just all want to be heard. But when it comes to mental health, that can be quite dangerous when you're forming cults, diagnosing yourself, and then that's all you're cultivating. You're just like obsessively saying you've got this, and this, and you're just attracting the same people. You kind of, it just turns into this real kind of unhealthy, just it like consumes you. That's your identity then.
Yes, it defines you.
Yeah, and I just feel like if you do think you have it, it's so great that you feel like you can share it. Now, I love being able to share my, when I'm having a flare-up or being really honest, being like, look, I'm having a complete and utter flare-up, which gives me severe anxiety. But I don't think, I would never show the parts where it's like, oh, yeah, so I'm going to binge drink now, or I'm going to do this and make it cute. Because to me, if you've had a manic episode, there's nothing cute about it.
Yeah.
It's fucking horrible. And I would never film myself. I don't know how they can, like, to each their own, but I got stuck in this web of these girls, all quite good looking girls, filming themselves breaking down, hysterically crying, and almost glorifying, their sex addictions or their things they do to, what's the word, like self-inflict pain. And I'm like, when I'm having an episode, the last thing I want to do is film myself, and I do not look hot at all.
Yeah.
I'm so frightened of my phone. I don't even want to text friends.
Yeah, no,
so it's
that's
just
right.
interesting. I just hope they're not taking the piss, to some degree to get attention, because there's other ways you can get attention.
I think there would be a lot of them that are. They are getting attention, and attention begets attention. It's an extremely addictive thing to have, that people looking at you, and the social media likes, that sound is also addictive. And what you were talking about before, where the more you talk about something, the worse it can be. That's
it consumes you.
Well, it's a scientific fact that your neural pathways, they are created. So if you continually talk or think about something, you are creating a neural pathway memory. And I had to learn that. I had a really bad back, years ago. I think we've spoken about this on the pod, and I used to talk about it all the time, and people would always be asking me, how's your back? How are you going? And it was just self-perpetuating. But now, and then I went, my doctor gave me a referral to the RPA, and I did a pain management course, which I thought they were going to help me get rid of the pain. What that actually did was explain to me how I'd created these neural pathways and the pain I was experiencing, because my latest scans came up that I was actually fine. Why am I still in pain then? Why is my back still hurting? Well, they said because your neural pathways are completely deep.
You're addicted to it.
Yeah, and you've created this. And I was like, it's not in my mind. And they're like, no, it is not in your mind. It's in your brain. This is a real thing. That the way they explained it, it was such a brilliant course to do. It sounds very similar to what you're doing with your healer, like learning to not talk about certain things because you make it worse. It's based on science. It's based on real studies, where the way they explained it to me is your neural pathways are like riverbeds. So imagine the water rushing down a riverbed, okay? So when your riverbed, you create new ones and the water starts to trickle down that one. Then if you actually start really thinking about that particular pain, that water gets heavier and gushier, and it starts to create like a rapid. So what you have to do is to stop thinking, stop talking, you start doing meditation, you do expressive writing, you do all these things to take your brain away from that neural pathway. They explain those neural pathways, they never do go away. They are always there, but they can be empty, dry riverbeds. And how the hell would these kids understand what they're doing to their neural pathways? So you've got other kids, and just like TikTok is made to do, they create your algorithm. So if you just watch a TikTok, you don't even have to like it. You can just watch it for a certain amount of time. It clicks up, it clocks you, okay, and then starts to serve you more and more similar things. So all of a sudden, you are creating a neural pathway of this particular addiction to, or liking of this particular trend, which it really is. So I think that comes down to if you are a teenager and you're listening, but if you're mostly the people who do listen to us are women of our age and, between our age. If you have teenage children and you have this kind of maybe going on, have a really good chat with them about the dangers of it and also the positives of understanding how mental illness is a real thing. But if it's something that your child thinks they may have, let's get to the doctor. Let's get serious about this. Even though it's a bloody difficult thing to do, but that will help them understand, because it's all about communication at the end of the day, isn't it? And knowledge is power.
Yeah, definitely. And I get how it's addictive. It feeds your anger bodies, and it's nice to be heard and supported and not feel so alone and crazy. Like, I totally get that feeling with mental health. You do want to find people that experience the same thing as you, because you feel so alone and frightened, but there's better ways to go about it than a 10-second manic clip on TikTok from people who are probably already diagnosed or are self-diagnosing. You've got to be really, really careful with who you're getting your sources from, because there are professionals out there, obviously.
And if TikTok were taking it seriously, they'd be putting disclaimers at the beginning and saying, if you are experiencing something similar to this, please do not self-diagnose. It should just be stamped on it.
It should be so. It's wild, because you'll find with symptoms, there's often a lot of overlapping symptoms between conditions. If you're misdiagnosing yourself, that's just going to prolong the right medicine or the right help or the right people you should be speaking to help with your traumas. Yeah. It's just, it is addictive. God, don't get me wrong. I spent hours on it and I was like, oh my God, I do that sometimes. I do that. And I'm also like, but I also have this going on that these people don't know anything about, and the same with you. And it's not... It's great you're talking about it, but it's not cute to glorify.
It's not entertainment.
To glorify something so serious, as mental health is so serious, and there's just better ways to go about it than doing, I blacked out and it's cute. Also, Instagram and TikTok is not therapy. As much as you think it is and it can make you feel good, it is not therapy. It is just free entertainment for you. Please do with it, what you will safely, because it's so impressionable. People watching it.
Yeah. If you've been listening to this and you want any kind of support or anything, if this has triggered something for you, you can always call Lifeline on 13 11 14. They're there 24 hours, 7 days a week.
So that was our deep dive for Thursdays. We wanted to get a little deep, because we had the lols. We had the lols at the beginning of the week. We had the deep at the end of the week, just to spice things up for you guys. So we hope you enjoyed that chat.
Please head to Apple Podcasts and rate and review the show. 5 stars only, of course. You can get in touch with us directly by emailing the podcast at twogirls@novaentertainment.com.au. Don't forget to follow Nova Podcast Official on Instagram for all behind the scenes action. Woo! And as Yvie and Angie like to say, have the day you deserve.